Imagine walking through your local grocery store, the aisles stacked with colorful fruits, some frozen, some fresh, all looking perfectly harmless. Most people assume that every fruit is healthy, that every berry, apple, or slice of melon is automatically helping their body. But for millions of Americans over 60, the truth is far more complicated. There is one fruit you can buy for less than $1 per serving, one fruit that a clinical study showed can improve insulin sensitivity in just 6 weeks. That fruit is the blueberry. Sounds simple, right? Eat blueberries, lower your blood sugar. But here's the catch. Most people eat them the wrong way at the wrong time and completely cancel out 70% of the benefit without even realizing it. And the truth is, there are 7 fruits sitting in your kitchen right now. 3 of them are helping your blood sugar, and 4 are quietly sabotaging it. Nobody is telling you which is which, not your doctor, not the nutrition labels, and certainly not the websites claiming to give health advice. Today on Sukwer Kung Health with Dr. D. Miller, I'm going to rank all 7 fruits from worst to best. Number 7 is the fruit that seniors reach for every summer thinking it's perfectly safe. Number 1 is the fruit that helped Margaret Collins, a 71-year-old woman from Ohio, drop her A1C from 8.4 to 6.1 in just 90 days. Her endocrinologist asked her what she changed in her diet, and she told him it was just one fruit. That's it. He took notes immediately. Margaret didn't follow some extreme diet. She didn't fast for 18 hours a day. She didn't cut out all carbs or eliminate entire food groups. She simply adjusted how and when she ate one very specific fruit, and the results were life-changing. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. D. Miller. For nearly 14 years, I've worked with adults over 60 who are trying to maintain their energy, their strength, their circulation, and their independence. I've seen the frustration when someone eats healthy, but their morning blood sugar keeps rising. I've seen confusion when patients think switching from bread to fruit is automatically better, only to watch their fasting glucose climb even higher. And I've seen how a small strategic change in fruit consumption can transform health outcomes. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why fruit can be confusing for anyone managing blood sugar. You'll see why some fruits can spike glucose levels in a matter of minutes, while others can stabilize insulin response and even reverse insulin resistance over time. I'm going to explain the science, show you the specific fruits to avoid, and walk you through the practical steps Margaret used to get her A1C under control. We're going to talk about timing, portion size, and the difference between eating fruit whole versus juiced or blended. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which fruits to reach for, how to eat them, and how to avoid the common mistakes that make blood sugar management so difficult. Before we dive into the rankings, I want you to picture your kitchen. Think about all the fruit you have on your counter, in your fridge, and maybe even in the freezer. 3 of those fruits are quietly helping your blood sugar, and 4 are actively working against you. By the time we finish this video, you'll know which is which. You'll understand why eating a small portion at the right time after a protein-rich meal can make a huge difference, and why the same fruit eaten alone or blended can send your glucose soaring. Margaret's story is proof that small, smart choices can lead to dramatic improvements, and it all starts with understanding the 7 fruits that matter most. Before we get into which fruits are the worst and which are the best, it's important to understand why fruit isn't always the healthy choice people think it is. Many people assume that a piece of fruit is always better than a cookie or a slice of bread. But the truth is that fruit behaves very differently in your body depending on how it's prepared, the timing of consumption, and even its fiber content. This is especially true for adults over 60, where insulin sensitivity tends to decline naturally with age. Understanding the mechanism can make the difference between a meal that supports blood sugar and one that spikes it dramatically. The sugar in fruit is mostly fructose. Unlike glucose, which enters your bloodstream directly, fructose takes a detour. It goes to your liver first, where it must be metabolized. In small amounts, with the fiber intact, your liver handles fructose easily. Blood sugar remains stable, insulin levels stay balanced, and there's no spike, no crash. But when fruit is consumed in a form that removes the fiber, like juice, blended smoothies, or overly ripe fruit, the liver becomes overwhelmed. Imagine hundreds of tiny vehicles suddenly hitting a single toll booth. Traffic backs up, and the system becomes stressed. In the same way, an overload of fructose causes your liver to panic, converting much of it into fat and even worse, triggering hepatic insulin resistance. This means the liver starts ignoring insulin signals, which can raise fasting blood sugar even while you sleep or during a 12-hour fast. That's why some fruits help and others can hurt, even if their sugar content looks similar on a nutrition label. Now let's break down the factors that make fruit beneficial versus harmful. First, fiber. Fiber acts like a speed bump for sugar. The more intact fiber in the fruit, the slower your body absorbs glucose. This prevents the spikes in blood sugar that are common after eating processed carbohydrates. Think of fiber as a protective mesh that keeps your liver from being overloaded. Without it, fructose floods the system, and your body reacts as though you've consumed a soda. Second, polyphenols. These are compounds found in berries, apples, and certain fruits that help regulate blood sugar and improve cellular responses to insulin. Polyphenols can act as antioxidants, but they also help your cells use glucose more effectively. A fruit rich in polyphenols can actually help reverse some of the insulin resistance that develops with age. That's why blueberries, for instance, are more than just low-calorie snacks. They're bioactive tools for your metabolism. Third, timing matters. Even the healthiest fruit can spike your blood sugar if eaten at the wrong moment. Eating fruit on an empty stomach or before a protein-rich meal can lead to rapid absorption of sugars, causing your liver to work overtime and sending glucose levels soaring. Conversely, eating fruit after protein, like eggs, Greek yogurt, or a small serving of lean meat slows absorption and maximizes the benefits. This sequencing principle is crucial and often overlooked in traditional nutrition advice. The fourth key point is portion control. Even fruits that are generally safe can become harmful when consumed in large quantities. For example, a single slice of watermelon or a few grapes is fine, but multiple cups or a large bowl can overwhelm your system. And the type of fruit matters too. Tropical fruits like pineapple, mango, and fully ripe bananas are higher in sugar and lower in fiber relative to berries or slightly green bananas. These fruits, without considering portion size, timing, and preparation, can create spikes that undo the benefits of an otherwise healthy diet. Finally, preparation method. Whole fruit is always superior to juiced or blended fruit. Juicing removes the fiber, concentrating sugar, and eliminating the gel-forming pectin that slows absorption. Blending breaks down fiber into pieces so small that it no longer forms the protective gel, allowing sugar to enter the bloodstream rapidly. Even smoothies, which are marketed as healthy, can mimic the effects of a sugary drink if not prepared carefully with protein and measured fruit portions. In short, fruit is like a medicine cabinet. Some bottles heal you, some can make you sicker, and a few look identical on the outside but have completely different effects inside. Once you understand the fiber matrix, the polyphenols, the timing, and the preparation methods, it becomes clear why Margaret Collins' simple habit of adding a half cup of blueberries after breakfast eggs made such a dramatic difference in her blood sugar and A1C. It's not magic, it's science applied correctly. With these principles in mind, you're ready to see how all 7 fruits stack up, from the ones that require caution to the ones that actively support blood sugar health. Understanding the mechanism is the first step in making smarter choices for your body. And this knowledge will help you navigate your kitchen with confidence, knowing exactly how to eat the fruits you love without compromising your health. Now that we understand the mechanism behind how fruit affects blood sugar, it's time to look at the fruits that are the most likely to cause trouble if eaten incorrectly. These are the ones that many older adults reach for thinking they are harmless, but in reality, they can spike glucose levels and frustrate efforts to manage insulin resistance. We are talking about watermelon, pineapple, and mango. 3 fruits that, if portion, timing, and preparation are ignored, can undermine all the good habits you've worked so hard to build. Let's start with number 7 on our list, watermelon. On the surface, watermelon looks completely innocent. It's cold, juicy, hydrating, and practically all water. In the heat of summer, it's almost irresistible. But the glycemic index of watermelon is 72, which actually places it in the high category. That is higher than white bread and even higher than a baked potato. And most people don't just eat a small cube. They consume 2 or 3 cups at a time while sitting outside in the sun, thinking they are making a healthy choice. Here's the trap. Watermelon has almost no fiber to slow the absorption of sugar, so eating large portions on an empty stomach can send blood glucose soaring in a matter of minutes. For seniors over 60, especially those monitoring blood sugar, this can be one of the fastest ways to create a spike. But there's a silver lining. Eating a small cup of watermelon after a protein-rich meal like eggs or Greek yogurt can cut the blood sugar impact almost in half. A simple adjustment in timing and portion is enough to enjoy watermelon safely. Moving on to number 6, pineapple. Pineapple has a well-deserved reputation for being healthy because of bromelain, an enzyme that helps with inflammation and digestion. Many people see the label contains bromelain and assume that it must be good for blood sugar too. Unfortunately, that's not the case. 1 cup of pineapple chunks contains over 16 grams of sugar and only 2.3 grams of fiber. That high sugar, low fiber ratio overwhelms the liver, just like we discussed in the previous section. Bromelain does not slow glucose absorption, it aids in protein digestion. So, while pineapple may help your joints or your digestion, it does nothing to prevent blood sugar spikes. For those who want to include pineapple in their diet, the rule is simple. Eat a few small chunks after a protein-rich meal. Avoid juicing, blending, or eating it in large quantities. There are better fruits for blood sugar that taste just as good and are far safer. Number 5 on the list is mango. This is one of the most popular fruits on Earth, and its sweetness makes it extremely tempting. One whole mango can contain 46 grams of sugar, more than a can of soda. And while mango does provide vitamin C and beta-carotene, it's a major source of carbohydrate that can spike blood sugar for someone with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. The glycemic index of mango ranges from 51 to 60 depending on the variety and ripeness. But what matters more is the glycemic load, which reflects the total amount of carbohydrate consumed. When you sit down and eat a whole mango, you are ingesting over 50 grams of carbs in one sitting. That's equivalent to 2 slices of white bread. I've had patients who eliminated bread from their breakfast but replaced it with a whole mango, thinking it was healthier. Their fasting blood sugar kept rising and they couldn't understand why. The solution is simple. Eat half a mango, cut it in advance, store the other half, and consume it after protein. That half portion, eaten in the correct sequence, is manageable and still satisfying. These 3 fruits, watermelon, pineapple, and mango, are not evil. They are full of nutrients, hydration, and flavor. But they are easy to overeat, easy to consume at the wrong time, and for older adults monitoring blood sugar, they can quickly become counterproductive. The key is understanding portion, timing, and preparation. Eat them in smaller amounts, pair them with protein, and avoid consuming them alone on an empty stomach. That way, you can enjoy these fruits safely without compromising your glucose control. Let's put it into perspective with real-life examples. Robert Harris, a 68-year-old retiree from Texas, would often eat a large bowl of watermelon after cutting the grass on a hot afternoon. He thought he was making a healthy choice, hydrating and cooling down. But when he started monitoring his blood sugar, he discovered spikes that were higher than after eating a cookie. By switching to a small portion eaten after a lunch sandwich with protein, Robert stabilized his glucose and continued to enjoy watermelon in moderation. Linda Carter, 73, loved eating a whole mango for breakfast every morning. She believed she was swapping a sweet treat for something natural. After weeks of high fasting glucose, she learned to cut her mango in half, eat it with scrambled eggs, and monitor her portion. The difference was immediate. In summary, these first 3 fruits are at the bottom of the ranking, not because they are inherently bad, but because they are easy to consume in ways that spike blood sugar. Understanding the glycemic index, fiber content, portion size, and timing is essential. With small adjustments, even watermelon, pineapple, and mango can be enjoyed safely. But the rest of the fruits we'll discuss are much more forgiving, especially when eaten correctly. By recognizing these pitfalls now, you'll be prepared to approach grapes, bananas, apples, and blueberries with strategy and confidence, and that's what we'll cover in the next section. We arrive at fruits that are commonly perceived as safe or even recommended by dietitians, yet they still carry hidden traps if consumed incorrectly. Number 4 on our list is grapes, and number 3 is the banana. These fruits are not inherently bad, but they require careful attention to portion, timing, and ripeness to truly support blood sugar control. Let's start with grapes. Grapes are tiny, sweet, and incredibly easy to snack on, which makes them deceptively dangerous for people monitoring blood sugar. One grape might seem harmless, but nobody eats just one. Typically, a single serving ends up being a small bowl of 40 to 50 grapes. That amounts to about 36 grams of sugar, roughly equivalent to 9 teaspoons of table sugar. The glycemic index of grapes is moderate, around 59, but the real problem is the portion trap. Because grapes are small and easy to pop into your mouth, you end up consuming a high amount of sugar very quickly, often without realizing it. The skin of the grape contains resveratrol, a compound that benefits cardiovascular health, but the flesh and juice inside contain pure fructose. 10 grapes, eaten after a protein-rich meal like chicken or fish with vegetables, is actually enough to satisfy your craving. Eating more than that in one sitting mindlessly can undo the positive effects. Take Susan Miller, 66, from Pennsylvania. She loved sitting in front of the television with a big bowl of grapes every evening. She thought she was making a healthy choice. After monitoring her blood sugar, she realized that her post-snack glucose levels were spiking dangerously. Once she began measuring out 10 grapes and eating them after a meal, her blood sugar stabilized, and she could still enjoy the fruit she loved without compromise. This example highlights how grapes are not the enemy, but without discipline in portion size, they can be deceptively problematic. Now, let's talk about bananas. Bananas are perhaps the most frequently asked about fruit when it comes to blood sugar. Can I eat bananas? Many older adults wonder. The answer is nuanced and depends on one key factor: ripeness. Green bananas, which are firm and slightly bitter, are loaded with resistant starch. Resistant starch behaves like fiber. It is not digested in the small intestine but passes through to the colon, feeding beneficial gut bacteria and preventing rapid spikes in blood sugar. However, as a banana ripens, its starches convert into simple sugars. The exact same banana, same size, same weight, can have a completely different effect on glucose levels depending on its ripeness. A slightly green banana can be your ally, while a fully yellow, heavily spotted banana can lead to a significant post-meal spike. Clinical studies support this principle. Research has shown that consuming green banana flour significantly reduced fasting blood sugar and improved insulin sensitivity in type 2 diabetic patients over a 12-week period. The glycemic index of a green banana ranges from 30 to 40, while a ripe banana can be as high as 62. This difference highlights the importance of paying attention to fruit ripeness, particularly for older adults with insulin resistance. Practical tips for bananas. Eat slightly green bananas rather than fully ripe ones. Slice them into Greek yogurt or oatmeal after protein-rich meals, and avoid consuming a fully ripened banana alone on an empty stomach. Interestingly, cooling a sliced green banana in the refrigerator for 2 hours further increases its resistant starch content. This same principle applies to certain starchy vegetables like potatoes and rice, demonstrating how minor preparation techniques can have a big impact on blood sugar control. Both grapes and bananas illustrate a critical lesson. Even fruits perceived as safe or recommended can spike blood sugar if eaten in excess at the wrong time or in the wrong state of ripeness. They are forgiving only if consumed mindfully. Portion control, timing after protein, and selecting the correct ripeness are all essential. This is why, when guiding older adults through fruit choices, I emphasize measurement, sequencings, and awareness of sugar content rather than avoiding fruit altogether. In summary, grapes and bananas are not the worst fruits on this list, but they are easily misunderstood. Grapes are tiny, portable, and easy to overconsume. Bananas change chemically as they ripen, altering their blood sugar impact. By eating 10 grapes after a meal and slightly green bananas with yogurt or eggs, older adults can enjoy these fruits safely while maintaining stable glucose levels. These strategies provide practical solutions for everyday life, showing that managing blood sugar is not about eliminating fruit, but about eating it strategically. Now we move into the fruits that are genuinely helpful for blood sugar control, provided you eat them correctly. Number 2 on our list is the apple, and number 1, the top performer, is the blueberry. These fruits are not only delicious, but they also provide unique compounds that help regulate glucose, improve insulin sensitivity, and even support cardiovascular health. Unlike the previous fruits, apples and blueberries offer a combination of fiber, polyphenols, and low glycemic impact, which makes them exceptionally forgiving when consumed with awareness and proper timing. Let's start with the apple. Many people have heard the old saying, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." While that may sound like a cliché, in terms of blood sugar management, the apple actually earns its reputation, but only when eaten correctly. The key compound in apples is pectin, a soluble fiber found mainly in the skin. When pectin reaches the stomach, it forms a gel that coats the digestive tract. Think of it like pouring honey through a colander. Everything slows down. The sugar from the apple and from whatever you ate with it enters the bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. This delayed absorption reduces post-meal insulin demand, making it easier for your body to handle glucose spikes. The problem arises when people peel apples, eat applesauce, or drink apple juice. Peeling removes most of the fiber, applesauce is mechanically processed and has less intact fiber, and juice contains none of the protective pectin. The moment you remove or break down the fiber, the benefit is gone. For adults over 60 who are monitoring their blood sugar, eating a whole apple with the skin on after a protein-rich meal is the ideal way to maximize benefits. For example, slicing a Fuji or Gala apple and eating it after scrambled eggs or Greek yogurt at lunch or dinner can significantly reduce the insulin spike. Research from Japan has shown that eating an apple before a carbohydrate-rich meal like rice delays the glucose peak and reduces overall post-meal blood sugar elevation. Even better, the optimal sequence is protein first, then apple, then carbohydrate. This combination provides the strongest protection. Now let's talk about the number 1 fruit, the blueberry. At the beginning of this series, we mentioned Margaret Collins, our 71-year-old example. Margaret added just one simple habit to her daily routine. She ate a half to 1 cup of blueberries after breakfast eggs. She also eliminated fruit juices entirely. No extreme diets, no fasting, just a small measured serving of blueberries at the right time. Over 90 days, her A1C dropped from 8.4 to 6.1. Her endocrinologist was amazed. Margaret's success is not a miracle. It's science applied consistently and correctly. The magic behind blueberries comes from their anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep blue color. These compounds activate an enzyme called AMP-activated protein kinase, which acts like a master switch inside your cells. When this enzyme is turned on, your cells open their doors to glucose, allowing it to move from the bloodstream into the cell where it can be used for energy. This process lowers blood sugar and enhances insulin effectiveness. Studies support these findings. A meta-analysis of 22 randomized controlled trials found that blueberry consumption reduced fasting blood glucose, by nearly 18 milligrams per deciliter and decreased glycated hemoglobin, or A1C, by about 0.32% in people with type 2 diabetes. Another trial at the University of East Anglia showed that a single cup of fresh blueberries improved glucose, insulin, and cholesterol levels in adults with metabolic syndrome. These are real people, not college students, and these are real improvements that happen without prescription medication. Frozen blueberries are just as effective as fresh, sometimes even better because they are flash frozen at peak ripeness, preserving anthocyanin content. A typical 2-pound bag at Walmart, Aldi, or Costco costs between $5 and $7, which is enough for about 2 weeks of daily servings. A half-cup portion mixed into Greek yogurt after protein is all it takes. That simple habit, when performed consistently, provides a dramatic effect on blood sugar control. Another advantage of blueberries is their low glycemic index. At 53, they are lower than apples, bananas, and grapes. Combined with their fiber content of 3.6 grams per cup, they deliver a slow, sustained release of glucose. Eating them consistently reinforces the insulin response and may even reverse some degree of insulin resistance, making them the ultimate for older adults managing blood sugar. It is important to note that these fruits are not magic bullets. They work best when incorporated into a consistent meal pattern, eaten in the right order, and paired with protein. Half a cup of blueberries after eggs, a small apple after chicken, these are actionable, practical strategies that anyone can implement immediately. The difference lies in sequencing, portion control, and proper timing, factors often overlooked in casual dietary advice. In summary, apples and blueberries rise to the top of the ranking because they provide fiber, polyphenols, and a low glycemic load, all of which help stabilize blood sugar and support insulin sensitivity. Eating apples with the skin on and enjoying blueberries after protein meals offers older adults a practical, effective way to enjoy fruit while keeping glucose levels in check. Unlike watermelon, pineapple, or mango, these fruits offer protective compounds that actively help the body manage blood sugar, making them the stars of the fruit world for anyone over 60. Now that we've ranked the fruits from worst to best, it's time to talk about the mistakes that can completely undo all the benefits of even the healthiest fruits. If you've been following along, you already know that blueberries and apples can be powerful allies for blood sugar control. But even these superstar fruits will fail to deliver their magic if consumed incorrectly. Over the years, I've noticed 4 common mistakes that older adults frequently make when eating fruit, and each one can dramatically spike blood sugar. Mistake number 1 is fruit juice. This is the most common error. People often believe that drinking orange juice, apple juice, or even grape juice is a healthy choice. After all, it's fruit, right? Wrong. The moment you juice a fruit, you strip out the fiber that slows sugar absorption. A glass of orange juice can contain 21 grams of sugar, while a glass of apple juice may have 24 grams. That sugar hits your liver in minutes with no fiber to slow it down, no pectin to form a protective gel. Metabolically, fruit juice behaves much like soda. It doesn't matter if the label says no sugar added. The sugar is already there, and your body reacts to it immediately. For adults over 60, this can be particularly dangerous because the liver and pancreas may already be less sensitive to insulin. Mistake number 2 is fruit in a blender. Smoothies have exploded in popularity, and they look healthy, but when you blend fruit, you destroy the fiber matrix. Technically, the fiber is still present, but it's broken into pieces so small that it no longer forms the protective gel that slows absorption. A blueberry smoothie, for example, will not give you the same benefit as eating whole blueberries with a spoon. The sugar from the fruit is absorbed almost as quickly as juice, which can spike blood sugar. If you must blend fruit, always add protein first, use small portions, and drink it slowly. But for the best blood sugar control, whole fruit eaten with a fork or spoon is superior. Mistake number 3 is eating fruit on an empty stomach. This is the timing mistake I see most often. People wake up in the morning and eat a banana or a bowl of grapes without having anything else. That fruit sugar hits the bloodstream with nothing to slow it down. No protein, no fat, no fiber from a previous course. The fix is simple and highly effective. Eat protein first, then fruit. Even a few bites of Greek yogurt or a boiled egg before your fruit dramatically changes the absorption curve. Studies have shown that protein before fruit slows the glucose spike significantly, which is why sequencing is so important. For example, eating half a cup of blueberries after eggs produces a much post-meal glucose response than eating them alone. Mistake number 4 is dried fruit. Raisins, dried mango, dried cranberries, and dates are all concentrated sugar bombs. A quarter cup of raisins contains 29 grams of sugar, and because the water is removed, you end up consuming more volume without feeling full. The fiber is still technically present, but the sugar-to-fiber ratio is extreme, so the fiber cannot compensate. This can be especially concerning for adults taking blood thinners, like warfarin, because certain dried fruits, particularly cranberries, can interact with the medication and affect INR levels. Always consult your doctor before adding concentrated fruit products to your diet. These 4 mistakes, juice, blended fruit, empty stomach, and dried fruit, are surprisingly easy to make, and they are common traps that cancel out the benefits of even the healthiest fruits. By avoiding them, you allow the fiber, polyphenols, and other protective compounds in fruits like blueberries and apples to actually do their job. Eating fruit strategically rather than mindlessly ensures that you reap all the benefits without triggering sugar spikes that could be harmful. Let's put it into perspective. Imagine eating a small apple after scrambled eggs. You experience a slow, steady glucose release, your insulin response is supported, and your cells get the sugar they need for energy. Now imagine drinking a glass of apple juice instead. You get the same amount of sugar, but absorbed rapidly with no fiber, no gel, no control. Your blood sugar spikes, insulin struggles to keep up, and your liver gets stressed. The contrast is stark, and it underscores why these mistakes matter so much. Understanding these pitfalls is empowering. Avoiding the 4 mistakes allows you to enjoy fruit as nature intended, whole, fresh, and paired correctly with protein. By implementing this knowledge, older adults can make fruit a powerful tool for controlling blood sugar rather than a source of frustration. These lessons are practical, evidence-based, and immediately actionable. Following them can help you maintain steady glucose levels, support insulin sensitivity, and enjoy fruit without guilt or risk. Now that we've explored the fruits from worst to best and discussed the common mistakes, it's time to put all this knowledge into action. Here is a simple, practical 7-step protocol for managing blood sugar with fruit designed specifically for adults over 60. This is not a fad diet or a strict restriction. It's a sustainable routine that maximizes the benefits of the right fruits while avoiding sugar spikes. Follow it consistently, and you will notice a difference in your fasting glucose and overall energy. Step 1. Breakfast. Always start with protein. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or lean turkey slices are perfect. After your protein, add a half cup of frozen blueberries. This combination leverages the fiber, polyphenols, and protein synergy to stabilize blood sugar and support insulin sensitivity. Step 2. Lunch. If you want fruit, choose 1 small apple with the skin on. Eat it after your protein and vegetables, not before or as a snack between meals. Sequencing matters. Protein first, fruit second, carbohydrate last if included. This approach prevents the post-meal spikes that many adults experience. Step 3. Dinner. Limit fruit at dinner. Focus on protein, vegetables, and slow-digesting starches if you include them. Your body processes sugar less efficiently in the evening, so reserving fruit for earlier meals reduces overnight glucose elevation. Step 4. Timing rule. Never eat fruit alone. Always pair it with a protein source. Even small portions of yogurt or eggs before your fruit will dramatically improve blood sugar control. This one rule protects you more than the choice of fruit itself. Step 5. Portion rule. Half a cup of berries, 1 small apple, 10 grapes, a few slices of slightly green banana. These are measured servings, not bowls or bags. Portion control ensures that the sugar load remains manageable and avoids overwhelming the liver. Step 6. Variety rule. You don't have to eat the same fruit every day. Rotate to keeps it interesting. Day 1, blueberries with yogurt. Day 2, strawberries over cottage cheese. Day 3, a small apple with almond butter after lunch. The flavors change, but the principle stays the same. Low glycemic fruit after protein, measured portion. Step 7. Eliminate concentrated sugars. Remove all fruit juice from your refrigerator. Orange, apple, grape, anything labeled as juice. Replace it with whole fruit, eaten at the right time, in the right amount. This simple change prevents hidden sugar spikes that can sabotage your progress. Finally, track your fasting blood sugar each morning. Within 3 days, you should notice changes. Comment below with your A1C or your blood sugar numbers. Your experiences help guide what I cover next. Remember, everything we discussed today, timing, sequencing, portion control, and the blueberry protocol, works during the day, but your body also has a nighttime pattern called the dawn phenomenon that can impact fasting glucose. I have a detailed guide called the Midnight Insulin Trap linked below that explains how to manage it effectively. This is Dr. D. Miller from Sucquare Cum Health with Dr. D. Miller. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, fruit is not the enemy. The right fruit eaten correctly can be a powerful tool for blood sugar control, energy, and long-term health.